You only need to know me. I will be the one.
This is a theory I've been putting together for a while now. The Last Laugh. How Joy Boy planned everything. An 800-year plan to defeat what will be Luffy's final opponent, the king of the world, Imu Nerona. The last set of chapters of Egghead Island have made this clear. Joy Boy has a plan, and it won't just bring Imu to his knees, but the entirety of the Holy Land will come crashing down as the One Piece world is turned upside down. This plan has been centuries in the making, and we've already seen proof of Joy Boy's plan in the earlier story. A prelude to the eventual flashback of Joy Boy's life, or rather his final days. I guess I'll begin by asking this. What does it mean to create an era? Is this any different than changing the world? To change this world? Is this any different than having a dream? No, I don't think it is. And so when Rayleigh told us that an era can only be created by the living, that your dreams can only be achieved while you're alive, that you can't change the world if you're dead, I really do think he gave the ball game away. Joy Boy planned everything. His life, his death, and his resurrection. And the key to all of this is Haki. So Rayleigh told us that an era can only be created by the living. We have some sense now that the era of Joy Boy was impeded by Imu. Imu and the other 20 kings defeated Joy Boy, and for the last several hundred years it is likely Imu believes it has been his era ever since that victory. The era of Imu. That the pirates of the world have been playing around and declaring one era after another, as Imu sits back and watches from on high, knowing that it's truly his. The Pirate King Roger, the man who used to be closest to the One Piece, Whitebeard, and the man who stole Whitebeard's position, Blackbeard. It has either been declared for each that it is their era, or they have called it their own. But the return of Joy Boy during Wano makes it seem like the battle of the past never truly ended, as was revealed by Vegapunk. The War of the Void Century continues, and so after Blackbeard and the end of the Marineford War, Luffy also declared that it was his era too. Essentially, Oda had Joy Boy return to ring the Ox Bell, a prelude to Joy Boy officially returning during Wano. We even got glimpses of Kaido, wondering who Luffy really was, as if someone had taken over or tried to take over Luffy's body and mind when he went Gear 5, as if Joy Boy had truly returned. And now Joy Boy landing the first blow in this rematch against Imu by giving him a taste of what his Haki used to be like. Joy Boy's back. But why does his return and the manner in which he attacked the Gorosei matter? Because I think Joy Boy is really going to return, along with another legendary pirate. So Joy Boy was defeated, but plotted his return to create the era he never got a chance to create. This era coinciding with a dream that will likely create a new world. Now that I think about it, the new world is a geographic location in One Piece, is where the Straw Hats currently are, attempting to create a new world, whether they know it or not. Only the living can create an era, and that is why Joy Boy is back now, somehow, by way of Luffy, to finish what he started. I wonder if what Rayleigh said about the living and creating an era ties into what Luffy said as Gear 5 Joy Boy to Kaido. That it takes a lot of energy to sustain that form, almost as if it takes a lot of energy to bring Joy Boy back from wherever he is to this world. Bringing the dead back to life isn't an easy task. Luffy goes on to say as Joy Boy that once we're dead, the only thing that's left is bones. And then he laughs hysterically. It sounds like Joy Boy has experienced death in order to know what comes after. Which makes sense for a character like Luffy, that even against Kaido and at other moments in the story, Luffy reminds us he is not afraid to die. That this isn't the end, just as it wasn't the end of Joy Boy back then. There is a slight contradiction though when you compare the statement about nothing being left but bones when you die. But we know that Joy Boy's heartbeat has returned, and we know that Joy Boy's Haki just returned also against the Gorosei. So if Joy Boy did die, parts of him remained, and likely remain elsewhere. All you need is a trigger to bring them back to this world. To bring him back to this world. We'll come back to this. I wonder if any of this ties into the various conversations Rayleigh had with Roger. After finding Laugh-Tale, Roger told Rayleigh that they were too early to use the One Piece. Essentially, the time wasn't right. Just like the ancient giant robot's conversation about waiting for the right time to use the gift or power Joy Boy stored inside of it. Joy Boy has planned out various moments in the future when he might be needed again. Joy Boy planning his return after the right person inherits his straw hat, eats and awakens his devil fruit, and using his Haki to save the person, to save Luffy, who is believed to be the second coming of Joy Boy. Oda uses the robot Emeth to make it clear to us that Luffy resembles Joy Boy, but is not the same person. You don't see the Gorosei calling Luffy Joy Boy, but in various moments they have, or at least Saturn has recognized his transformation as that of the sun god Nika. Imu mentions Joy Boy for the first time after the Gorosei are hit by that blast of Haki. So the Haki is familiar, almost like Joy Boy was back in the flesh, if only in spirit. Another conversation that Rayleigh had with Roger was when Roger told him that he wasn't going to die. These cryptic words are still not yet fully understood, but Roger said it with a smile, almost like he had a plan. Fast forward to Roger's execution. So many focus on the smile as Roger died, but forget about the laugh. It's important to question why. Why Roger laughed as he died. Why Luffy also laughed as he almost died in the same town where Roger was executed. The original Joy Boy likely laughed during his final moments too, determined that he would get the last to laugh, even if it was the last thing he did, figuratively and literally. After all, Oda told us via the narrator that legends that endure into the future were events that took place in the distant past. It's possible Oda has already given us glimpses as to what happened to Joy Boy in his final moments. This theory about the last to laugh, as I call it, applies to Roger as well. That Roger had a plan, set it into motion, and laughed as he died, knowing that those that wanted to put an end to all that he represented had failed. But also lurking in the background, the belief that he was not going to die. Luffy has also told us on several occasions that he was not going to die, that he would live on. Kozuki Oden also told us that he was not going to die, and some have seen similarities in Oden when compared to Luffy and Roger. Some even wondering if he also has the will of D given the way he died, with a smile. As if the famous smile of some Ds is symbolic of the last laugh that we spoke of. So if Luffy is a modern representation of Joy Boy, maybe Joy Boy also believed he wasn't going to die. That he, Joy Boy, would one day return. And it's likely both Joy Boy and Roger will. They will return, if only temporarily. So Whitebeard told us that Blackbeard was not the man Roger was waiting for, and ever since people have theorized that Roger might be out there still, waiting on Laugh-Tale for the Chosen One, or the person both Joy Boy and Roger are waiting on to find and use the One Piece first. But how? Could it be that both Roger and Joy Boy are literally waiting? Chilling on Laugh-Tale as if it's some kind of vacation island. And the person they are waiting for will carry a special identifier, marked by the straw hat, that has been passed down the generations. Going back to what I said about having a master plan that stretches into the future by hundreds of years long after you died, this can be called a form of time travel, I guess, in a way. Think about the giant straw hat frozen in ice at the Holy Land. A thing being frozen is often associated with the concept of time, frozen in place, biding its time. Who knows whether this giant straw hat, or the smaller one Luffy currently has, whether either belong to Joy Boy. It would all depend on his size, which is still unclear to a degree. The flashback of Joy Boy's silhouette suggests Joy Boy might not have been a giant. I mean, does Luffy look different in size when next to the ancient robot Emeth? Both look human-sized. But maybe Joy Boy was really a buccaneer, and so he could have been Kuma-sized. Either way, frozen, and so waiting to defrost when the time is right. The giant straw hat sealed away, maybe in case it's a Haki bomb. like the rope Joy Boy stored his Haki in for Emeth. But a parallel, if I'm using that word correctly, a parallel would be 3D to Y, the 3D to Y time skip. Luffy leaving the Straw Hat on that rock. The Straw Hat coincidentally covered in snow, just like the ice on the giant Straw Hat. Luffy only reclaiming his hat when the time was right, when 2 years had passed, when Luffy was strong enough to return. Mind you, this time skip is also associated with Haki, in terms of Luffy's training. And so Luffy only reclaiming his hat when the time was right, when 2 years had passed, when Luffy was strong enough to return. How is this any different than what we are seeing now with the long-awaited return of Joy Boy? Sticking to the Straw Hat, and also how Joy Boy died, I think the execution of Ace and the Continent Puller Oars coming to save him. What we learned about Oars and Ace's relationship is important. Some say Ace was supposed to be Joy Boy instead of Luffy, but who knows? What matters is Ace gave Oars a giant hat made of straw. Ace's interaction with Oars resembles the interaction of Joy Boy and the ancient robot Emeth, who resembles an ancient giant like Oars. Oars failed to rescue Ace. Oars was stabbed in a similar manner that the ancient robot was shown to have been stabbed after attacking the Holy Land, by a spear of some kind. Who knows why the robot Emeth went to the Holy Land? All we know is the Gorosei and Imu are usually there and the giant Straw Hat is there. It does seem like something happened to Joy Boy in the past, and his allies were unable to save him. Or maybe were told not to. Mind you, one of the recent chapters, one of the final chapters of Egghead Island, shows us that Emeth was determined. The giant robot Emeth was determined to not let Luffy die. Just like Oars was determined to not let Ace die. That aside, we are told people only die when they are forgotten. Kozuki Oden told us he would become a story to accompany our drinks, and so he would not be forgotten. And Roger saying he wasn't going to die. Hint after hint after hint that death is not the end. Joy Boy's death might not have been the end either. Joy Boy didn't die. I mean, he did, possibly, but not really. Instead, Joy Boy made sure he would survive in other ways until the day he could return. In living memory through Zunisha, the ancient Iron Giant robot Emeth, the Sea Kings, and others. In written memory by way of the poneglyphs and a devil fruit, reincarnating in a way with the Gomu Gomu no Mi, as we know that devil fruits can contain the essence or spirit of the former host, like Sabo using the Mera no Mi and speaking to the presence of Ace in that fire, in that inherited flame. But there is another idea, and it continues an idea that is widely accepted in the community now, Oda basing the return of Joy Boy on the biblical resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now that we have seen the sun god and cross at that church Kuma prayed to, we know this to likely be the case. And so, like Jesus, the spirit is eternal. It remains even after the physical body dies. There is a popular cross symbol for Jesus depicted as ICXC Nika. Nika being a Greek word meaning conquer or victory. It symbolizes victory over death and sin through the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. The advanced Conquerors Haki blast that accompanied the return of Joy Boy, and Luffy's awakening of Gear 5 resembles the Haki blast. The Conquerors Haki blast when the ancient robot Emeth untied that rope or knot. Every time Luffy uses Gear 5, we see this explosion of Haki that doesn't seem to accompany any other awakening. Why? Could it be that the Gomu Gomu no Mi or Devil Fruit of the Sun God still contains some trace of Joy Boy's Haki or spirit as well? Besides what we currently know about the observation, armament, and Conqueror's Haki techniques out there could be other ways to use Haki that we don't yet know about. One way being Conqueror's Haki, conquering death. Jesus was said to be a king. It seems people were trying to make Joy Boy a king, but failed. Roger was the Pirate King, and Luffy now aspires to become King of the Pirates. Each is a king that conquered death, or will conquer death in some way. But I said we'd come back to the contradiction of Luffy saying nothing is left but bones when you die, when we know that Joy Boy's heartbeat has returned, and we know that Joy Boy's Haki is still around also. So if Joy Boy did really die, parts of him remained and likely remain elsewhere. The dead are never truly gone. Luffy notices the voice of the ancient giant robot, being able to hear its voice and speak to it. We have seen this with Zunisha as well, and the Sea Kings, all of whom have been waiting on the return of Joy Boy. But can the voice of all things be used in other ways? We have seen the voice of all things originally used to hear the poneglyphs. There is a voice coming from that indestructible stone. Is it the voice of a single person or many persons? Those lost during the Void Century War. The voice of the dead, of the past that Clover spoke of when revealing he too had the will of D. The will of the dead is trapped in this stone. Their stories, their history, their spirits, their Haki, possibly. You can read history or hear it told by those that were there to experience it firsthand. Is it possible that what we saw with Joy Boy and the ancient robot Emeth, Joy Boy storing his Haki and so his spirit inside of a rope? Is it possible Joy Boy has also stored part of himself elsewhere? Could this also be true for Roger, given he is also a Haki master? I've seen some people suggest the Straw Hat might be made of Haki, so sewn and kept together by Haki. Or that strings of the Straw Hat could be unraveled to unleash something when the time is right. Maybe even when the location is right. And so I've been wondering if when Luffy gets to Laugh Tale, the Straw Hat or some other object on that island has a reaction and reveals Joy Boy's Haki or spirit to us again. But this time we actually see Joy Boy or Roger in the flesh. Or at least the ghost of one of them might be brought back temporarily to speak with Luffy. Where is Roger's sword? Where is the Oro Jackson? Where is Roger's iconic pirate captain's hat? Could Roger have imbued some of his spirit in those former possessions of his as well? Is it possible for the spirits imbued into items to return as the person that left those items behind? Again, if only temporarily. I can imagine the writings Odin left behind on that gold of Skypiea on behalf of Roger. I can imagine that a similar message from Roger or Joy Boy might be found on Laugh Tale. Their writings and so their voice, containing with it some of their essence or a voice for Luffy to interact with. To sum it up, the resurrection of Joy Boy or Roger, having smiled and laughed in the face of death, having the last laugh as defined as the satisfaction of ultimate triumph or success, especially after being scorned or regarded as a failure. It would appear that Joy Boy failed to become a king. Roger was too early to use the One Piece. We can end each statement with a question mark, as the last laugh implies people need to trust the plan. Joy Boy didn't become a king, but Roger did. Roger didn't get to use the One Piece, he was too early. But Luffy will, most likely. As Vegapunk revealed, the battle isn't over yet. It's possible the circumstances around the final moments of Roger's life spoil everything we've been wondering about Joy Boy. Roger speaking about the time not being right. Roger saying he was not going to die and disbanding the crew thereafter. Roger being executed by the world government. Roger dying with a smile and a laugh. Rayleigh's conversation with the Straw Hats implying that Roger might have planned this all out. Or maybe Roger, like the ancient robot Emmet, was told what he had to do by the spirit of Joy Boy on Laugh Tale. That when the time was right, he needs to turn himself in. When the time was right, Joy Boy needed Roger to inspire the world, to pursue the One Piece treasure. And that when the time is right, Joy Boy would return, not just as Luffy, but as the legendary Joy Boy himself. This could happen in Luffy's final fight against Imu. Somehow Joy Boy takes over. Imu and Joy Boy meeting face to face after hundreds of years. Or it could happen on Laugh Tale, with Joy Boy waiting for the same man that Roger has been waiting for. Someone who shares not just the same will of D, but the same inherited will and the same dream. Likely passed down from Joy Boy by way of the Straw Hat to Monkey D. Luffy. But as usual, we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, and subscribe. You can also find me on Twitter at the following address, at Vinland Ragnar. My Twitter page is on the screen. Also check out my other One Piece channel called Vinland Leaks, where starting in August or September, I'll be making shorter One Piece videos and responding to your comments. And I'm trying out something entirely different with a channel called Vinland Dark, for those of you that like my darker One Piece videos. Again, Links will be in the description box and pinned in the comment section below. As always, there is more to come. Until next time.